Good morning. Today is the 18th of February, 2015, and this is a general reading for a really good friend of mine. This girl is actually a Gemini with her moon in Libra and Leo on the ascendant. And she just had a few questions about a few things that were going on in her life, a few general things. So I agreed to kind of put some cards down for her, and we will see what happens. And this is somebody that I've done card readings for a few times in the past, maybe I think two or three times. Um, so we kind of talked about it, and we decided maybe I would put down some Lenormand cards, and then maybe a few cards from the tarot deck as well, and we'll just kind of get an idea of what's going on. Um, from an astrological sense, we see that there are a few things kind of going on, a few long-term um, transits, maybe in her natal chart, that are affecting the way that she relates to the structures in her life, I guess the bookends that she has put in place, and the margin in which she has allowed her life to operate. Those things are kind of becoming stretched and are changing. Old structures are dissolving. We see that, like I said, there are a few transits that kind of point to that. One being an aspect between the Saturn and the Moon, another between Moon and Mercury, and then a final one between Saturn and Uranus. And they all kind of have different flavorings, different undertones, each of these specific aspects. But the overall idea is that old structures are kind of giving way to new, and the way that she views herself and the way that she views the outside world is going to be going through some major changes, specifically between now, this being about the middle of February, up until about April. So over the next couple months, going into spring, we see that there are going to be a lot of changes um, in her personal life, the things that she values, um, the way she values her personal space. Um, those things are going to be going some under some very very intense changes over the next few months. Okay, and so what I'm doing, I'm just shuffling the Lenormand cards here. And I don't know how easy this is for you to see. Um, But in the overall cut, in the first kind of glance of the deck, we have two cards that are actually very, very positive. We have the Heart and the Sun. And this just bodes well, I think, for the overall reading. Um, the Sun card has a lot to do with enlightenment, change, progress down a specific karmic path. If you think about life as just a series of karmic lessons that we have to learn, the Sun card just talks about we are actually progressing down the path that we have to progress down currently in a good way. We're learning the lessons that we need to learn, and things are going as they should. The Heart card has a lot to do with, of course, positive emotions, love, just the general joie de vivre, enjoying your life and living your life. So I guess it has a lot to do with. It sounds like the overall idea is that she is where she needs to be at this time in life, and whatever hardships she's going through, um, these are necessary. These are necessary trials, and they're not necessarily things of her own creation, but really just things that she has to go through. So let's see here. Right. So I think this is interesting here. So what I've done, I've laid out all 36 cards of the Lenormand deck in what is called the Grand Tableau. Um, this basically lays out all of the elements of the deck, and we can see how they relate to one another and how they relate to her. Um, the first thing I look at here is where she is in relation to everything else. We see that she's up here in the far right hand corner. We can't really see too far into the future, um, but it looks like there is a lot of stuff that happened in maybe the recent past. I would say recent being maybe 2 years at the most, maybe a little bit less, but I would say 2 years at the most. But we really can't see too far into the future. Something we see here that kind of stands out to me um, is that in the same line we have her being represented by the woman card up here, and then there's the gentleman down here, the man card. Um, Within the Lenormand deck, women or just uh, a client, the person you're reading for, will be represented by the woman, and if you're reading for a man, it'll be represented by the man. Um, we see these two cards appearing in the same line. To me, it kind of talks about the possibility of a relationship, or the possibility of a relationship. It says that there's a one specific man in her life right now that is kind of standing out as being someone unique. Um, of course, I mean I've because she's a friend of mine, I know that this to be true. It's really good to see that kind of confirmation here within the deck, or within the spread. It kind of makes things um, it makes it all more valid, because we can point things out that we know to be true and assume that other things will be true as well. Something that also stands out to me that I think is interesting. Um, I would say that this gentleman in her life, he's a very sociable person, and he's somebody who is kind of constantly around a lot of other people. Um, I think that is actually very difficult because I think that some of these other people that he may be around are not necessarily. I don't know. They're not the kind of people that are easy to vibe with. The reason I get that because of the combinations of these two cards that are right next to the man. We have the fox and the fish. Um, the fish card describes somebody as being very very social and very very outgoing, whereas the fox card is kind of talks about lies and deceit. Um, we also have the book, which is indication of secrets, or maybe um, not necessarily lies, but also withholding the truth, maybe. Um, those are things that kind of make me nervous here, um, about the man card as well. Also, something I think that it's particularly interesting, even though the man and the woman card are kind of in the same line, they're actually facing opposite directions, um, which I think is interesting. Um, the card that actually connects the man and the woman is the tree. Um, that is a good sign in terms of a budding relationship. The tree talks about growth. It talks about um, an idea, or in a relationship, or in a job, something growing into something more and more stable. Just as a tree puts down roots and starts to blossom in the spring and then comes back next year, time after time, and the tree gets bigger. That's kind of the symbolism that we're seeing here. So, in terms of a budding relationship between the two, I think it's a good thing, and I think that it could happen, and there's a definite possibility here. Do I think that it will happen quickly? No. I don't. And I'll tell you why. In the corners of the spread, we actually have the mountain, the friends, or the children, excuse me, the stork, and then the woman herself. Um, of these cards, the mountain in particular talks about things that take a long time to progress. Um, Lots and lots of things have to be resolved before maybe the situation can be in its most ideal form, or things can be the way we want them to be. Um, in addition to that, in addition, because we have the woman card over here on the far right, um, and there's nothing really that we can see in the future. It tells me that there's some issue in the past that has to be resolved. Some issue with maybe a previous relationship or a previous experience with guys, or something that I would say definitely brings a lot of stress into your daily life today. Um, we see here. I don't know. The reason I say that, we have the ring, which has a lot to do not only with relationships but with commitments. Um, the ring card is actually just above the clouds, which represent unhappiness or depression, sad events, mistrust, things like that kind of come into mind. And that, it looks like, would be. Hmm. Actually, and in addition to that, now that I say that, going back to the book card, which represents secrets, unknown knowledge, or hidden knowledge, the book card is actually just on top of the letter, which is another kind of indication of maybe of love or amorous feelings. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think what these cards are telling me is that this current suitor, I guess you could say, um, is somebody who is valid, um, but maybe because of, I don't know. I mean, because of something in the past, and because of the people who are around this gentleman, and because of maybe a few specifics in his nature. Um, for the right now, he's unavailable. But I think maybe that'll change in time. Also, kind of the indication that I get, because he is so close to the stork card, I think he just has a lot of flighty ideas. I think he's somebody who is, I don't want to say here today, gone tomorrow, but I think maybe um, he's somebody that's maybe just a little bit more difficult to nail down, and maybe he's not ready to just jump into a relationship right, at the get-go. um, I mean, I would say give it time. Right now, unfortunately, um, we can't know what'll happen, um, just because there's nothing really there for us to see. But the only thing you really do have control of in the end is your own character and the way that you act. um, hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is actually in the past. I mean, from knowing this person, there's nothing that I know about, but it's not to say it's not there. I mean, I think maybe just kind of maybe a general mistrust of people. I don't know. Um, I mean, there's definitely something in the past that has to be dealt with before I think you are ready to maybe be in a relationship with somebody. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it has something to do. I mean, it has something to do with a lot of lying, um, maybe misplaced trust in somebody. Yeah, I mean, this entire line right here with um, the clover and then clouds and ring has a lot to do with kind of just mistakenly believing in somebody, I think. Um, I'm not sure exactly who that is, um, but it's something, those are feelings that need to be addressed, I think, before it's wise to get into a different relationship. I mean, I think it's interesting. You can tell that you're actually very anxious right now, because we have the owl, the birch rod, um, right next to you being the indicator card. I mean, to me, the birds or the owls have a lot to do with kind of the inner dialogue that we all have in our own minds, and I feel like that kind of becomes kind of your own worst enemy when you're in a relationship because you start second guessing yourself and you start second guessing what you're thinking, and eventually the line between reality and fiction just becomes blurred. And you're playing the guessing game of what does he think and why does he feel this way and how does he feel. um, it's just all very unknown right now, and I think that that kind of insecurity is just what really this spread is highlighting. Um, it's very much time for you to just, I think, rein that in. Um, I mean, obviously, the best way to, assure your own self agency is by letting him take the reins and letting him make the first moves. Um, because then you can just be sure of him feeling what he's feeling, and he's doing what he's doing not because you asked him to but because he wants to do something. um, Let him contact you, that kind of thing. I think something else that kind of stands out to me when we lay the cards out in this order, we can either do 4 rows of 9 or then 3 rows of 8 and then 4 at the bottom. um, when we do this spread like this and we have these extra cards down here, these can actually be seen as the final outcome or the karmic lesson, the most important takeaway. And I think it's interesting because we also have the heart card down here at the bottom. And like I said before, the heart has a lot to do not only with romance but just generally enjoying life, um, indulging in the pleasures of this world, that kind of thing. Um, and I think it's interesting. The 4 cards that we have here, we have the road, the coffin, the tower, and the heart. Um, it kind of sounds like you might have a choice to make. Um, I think it has to be a choice of your outlook, and it has to be a choice of how you present this. Um, the tower has a lot to do with solitude and being by yourself. Um, and while it's certainly a good thing to be comfortable being alone, being able to be in a relationship is actually something that's immensely valuable as well, and being able to trust and be happy with somebody else. Um, that's actually something that's very, very important. No man is an island. Um, when I think about the tower card, I think about being locked away in a tower. You can think about Rapunzel letting her hair down, because she's locked in the tower and she wants to get out. Um, and the coffin has a lot to do with a lack of courage. Um, a lot to do with maybe entrapment. Um, I think maybe, I mean, to me, this is kind of referencing the issues that we have up here. Um, some issue with just trust, and I think feelings of being locked in. Um, I think maybe right now it sounds like you're kind of at an impasse, where you can either deal with this anxiety and the not knowing that comes part and parcel with being in a relationship and tethering yourself to somebody else, or the beautiful unknown where you're diving into this thing with somebody else, and either it could pan out or it couldn't. Um, I think giving it time and understanding that time is the only thing that you really have for certain, and with time everything becomes a lot clearer. I think that this could become a really, really good thing. Um, I don't think that he has like another woman or another lady. But I do think that he's somebody who's very consumed with his friends and his current way of life. I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, but I do think that if you give this enough time, it could pan out into something a lot more solid than maybe what it is now, and he could become a lot more knowable of a person. I think right now he's somebody who's actually very, very hidden and very sequestered. Um, Maybe he's very hot and cold. Um, we see actually that he's here. He's kind of eclipsed by the serpent card as well. Um, to me, the serpent card, I mean, it has a lot of negative connotations. Somebody who is two-faced, or somebody who could stab you in the back, or maybe has a duplicitous nature. I don't think necessarily that those meanings of that same weight apply here, but I think that maybe it just describes him as somebody who's just unknowable right now. I mean, I keep going back to that word, but we can't really be sure of his character, of who he is, or of um, or his intentions really right now. That's not something that we can see. Um, all right now, all that you really have right now is time. Like I said, I don't see him as having another person, or of cheating on you, or just you know leaving you high and dry. I just don't think that he is able to be locked down right now. Um, when I say right now, I mean at this very minute. I think that if you give it time, it's actually something that'll grow. I think that probably around April. I mean, going back to the astrological things that we talked about earlier, I think that probably in the next, let's see, February, March, April, I guess 3 months. In the next 3 months, we'll know that this is something solid. I think he'll still be around in 3 months, but I think by that time you will have changed as a person, and you will have more self agency to maybe rein this in as something that you want. And if it's not, then that's something that you'll actually have control over as well, of course. Um, but I think right now it's kind of out of our reach. So what I'd like to do now, um, I would actually, I'm going to put down some tarot cards for us as well. And because this is somebody that I know pretty well, um, I'm not going to be using a significator card. Normally I would. Um, and so what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to pick 5 more cards here, and we're going to go from there. Because this is more of a general reading, well, I guess a general reading that pertains to, you know, a few changes that are going on in her life right now. I don't really want to use too much of a spread. And so what I'm just doing, I'm shuffling here, and I'm kind of allowing the cards to find themselves. And I'm letting them kind of fall out as they please. I think that one as well, and I think that's going to be it. All right. And so we have some interesting things here. At the top of the deck, we actually have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is a card that has a lot to do with enjoying the pleasures of life. This kind of relates maybe to the Heart card that we saw in the Lenormand deck. I mean, it has a lot to do with enjoying the fruits of your labor. When I see the Six of Cups come up in a spread, it makes me think that this is maybe somebody who likes to have a good time or likes to enjoy themselves. Sometimes maybe a little too much. Just knowing this person, I don't think that is necessarily the case here. She's a pretty responsible young lady. Um, but I think it just has a lot to do with enjoying your life in the shape that it is in right now, which is, of course, a good lesson for anybody. And then at the bottom, interesting, we have the Death card. The Death card, and I'm just looking through here. The death card has a lot to do with change and transformation, and that actually goes back again to the long-term transits that we're seeing in this woman's natal chart. We see up until now and into the end of April, the middle or end of April, um, there are a fair amount of conjunctions and aspects that are going on that are actually going to cause a lot of transition. Um, Painful transition sometimes, and we actually see that here as well. So the cards that we have here, we're going to kind of start in the middle in the order that they came out here. And I'm just going to lay these out like that. All right. Um, so what I'm seeing here, it looks like you're going through a pretty rough time as of right now. The Prince of Cups represents a man of a water sign. So anybody here, um, a man of any of the astrological water signs. Um, so probably I'm gonna say, I mean, obviously the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Um, I'm not sure what sign the gentleman is, what sign he is, but I think somebody of this sign is going to be actually very, is going to come into your life or is going to be pretty influential. It's going to be somebody who is just older than you. And usually the Prince of Cups represents somebody with darker hair or maybe a darker complexion. Um, and I think it's gonna be something that happens now. We're talking like right now. We have the Eight of Wands here, which represents things that are happening very very quickly. Um, right now, I'm using the Tot Tarot, which is created by Aleister Crowley, and the images are a little bit different. But normally in the Rider Waite version of the tarot, the Eight of Wands is represented by eight wands flying through the sky, and they almost look like arrows. And so there's this very um, quick moving energy or visualization that usually comes with this card. It's talking about things that are happening right now. So I would say that there's somebody kind of in your life um, that would fit this description. I'm not sure who it is. We have a lot of the same friends, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know who it is. But yeah, somebody of a water sign, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, um, probably just older than you. And I would say he's going to be a little bit darker. Um, and I think it's very interesting here. We have a lot of cards that point to a relationship. We have not only the Lovers, which is the card of the major arcana that represents partnership or unions. Um, Not only the union with somebody else, but also the divine union between male and female, yin and yang, dark light, that kind of thing. And we also have the Two of Cups, which is the card in the minor arcana that represents an actual a relationship, um, like a love type of relationship with somebody else, a romantic relationship. Um, so I would say, I mean, this is something that's present in your life right now, or is actually coming together right now. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking, hmm. I'm not sure. I mean, if it's the man that we were talking about in specific in the Lenormand reading, but it's something. I mean, it's somebody who's definitely there. And I actually think this is somebody who's older than you. And I'm getting that because of the Emperor card, which is another card of the Major Arcana that we have here. Um, the Emperor kind of represents maybe more of a father figure, stability, foundation. Um, has a lot to do with somebody who is strong in their ideals, um, somebody who is established. I'm feeling that this is something. I mean, I feel like this is kind of a descriptor for the Prince of Cups here. Um, and I think it's something, I mean, it's something that's happening very, very fast. I mean, there's going to be some major, major type of change or quick breakdown that allows for this to happen. Um, we also have the Tower, which is here. And there's a lot of biblical energy that actually, biblical imagery, excuse me, that became a part of each tarot deck. Um, Obviously, these pictures that we're seeing on here um, are in some ways symbolic of each card's specific meaning. And if you know how to understand the symbolism behind it, it's very easy to kind of get the meaning by just looking at the picture. Um, the Tower card kind of references the Tower of Babel of the Old Testament, when God came down and confused people's languages and spread people to the different parts of the earth and what have you. It talks a lot about sudden change, calamity, a sudden restructuring of a situation or an event. Um, Kind of that, I mean, in that way that we talk about things, we have to get out with the old to come in with the new. Well, the Tower is the out with the old part of that. It's the cleaning out or the clearing out. Um, Going back to the astrological table, or the astrological influences, we we're seeing that this is kind of a time when there's going to be a lot of just old things that are maybe taken out of your life, so new things can come into play. I don't want to say, yeah, I mean, it's going to be some kind of drastic end to something or a drastic change in some situation, um, that's going to happen, and that's going to, I believe, clear the path for this kind of energy, this relationship energy to come in. I think it's something that's going to be happening probably within the next, I would say the next 4 weeks. Um, Looking kind of at the numbers that we have here, I would say 4 to 5 weeks. So by, we'll say by the end of March, um, you're going to see some kind of major, major change, um, in related to this person, the Prince of Cups, and it's something that's going to happen all at once. It's going to happen very, very quickly. Yeah. And I think, I mean, the most important thing is that you have to remember that this is a lesson that you have to learn. I mean, this is something that you have to go through. Um, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Death card, which, like I said before, has a lot to do with transformation. Um, this can be seen in many ways as the other side of the Tower card, as being the formative aspect. Um, After things are taken out of your life, new things come in. And I think maybe this Prince of Cups isn't the man that's in your life currently, and maybe it's somebody new who's going to be coming um, in the next 3 months. Um, I think that that might be who that's referencing, but I don't know. Any way that you cut the cake, these cards are talking about a major, major change, like like a, a pretty dramatic break from the status quo, um, and the formation of something new. Um, and of course, I mean, it's important to remember that these things are a blessing. Obviously, everything carries with it its own lesson to learn. Um, hmm, yeah, I think that within the next within the next couple months, 2 months, probably even less, um, this situation's going to pan out. And if you know who this person is, I'd be interested to know. Um, like I said, it's going to be a man who's just a little bit older than you, um, probably more settled down, more established. I would say somebody um, who is very grounded and set in their ways. A water sign, so um, Pisces, Scorpio. Bear with me here. Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. Hmm. Right. So if you know, I mean, if that's somebody that you know, please let me know. I'm not sure of who that is, or of what any of these guys that are in your life, what their signs are. So yeah, if that sounds familiar, please let me know. Um, but I would say, I mean, we see in the next, you know, after this current cycle, um, things actually begin to calm down a lot. Um, in fact, once these three transits are actually over, um, we actually see that your sign is in exaltation for a little while, um, which basically just means that your astrological chart is actually, it just looks perfect for the summer. Um, let's see here. Yeah, actually. Um, so checking your chart, we see that, as I mentioned before, there's that period that lasts pretty much from now up until April. Um, and then starting in June, actually the 15th to be specific, of June of 2015, um, we see there's a strong transiting Pluto, creating what's called a sextile, which is a very close angle with your natal Pluto. It basically just means that where Pluto was on your chart at the time of your birth, and where Pluto is currently or will be at the 15th of June, is creating a very specific angle. And Pluto is a planet that has a lot to do with the mysteries of life, um, death and rebirth, regeneration. So for me, that kind of signifies the period where things are kind of being built again. So it sounds like we're kind of entering into the end of a karmic cycle. It's time for old ways to be cleaned out, in favor of new. And we're seeing that happen here pretty much from now until April, and then starting in June, there's going to be a new situation coming into your life. All right. So yeah, um, I think overall, um, in terms of you getting with this specific person, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Like I said, I'm not sure of who this is specifically, but I do know that there are going to be a few really, really drastic changes. And the best thing that you can do right now is to pretty much just hold on tight. The Tower card's one of the more dramatic cards of the tarot deck. I mean, it has a lot of serious, serious connotations. Um, Very drastic change, very violent change come up. Um, so I'm not sure if, depending on who this is somebody who is actually coming into your life, I believe. I don't know if it's somebody who's there already, but I think overall it's actually really exciting. You're about to enter into a time of change, and that's something that we should all embrace and that we should all be excited about. So yeah, I hope this helped. Um, Let me know what you think. Sorry about the camera being kind of janky. I was trying to rig something up to record on my phone, but it didn't work out exactly the way I thought. So I'm recording this on my Mac. So yeah, hopefully I can maybe redo one of these for you soon. And thank you so much.